Hello YouTube, thanks for tuning in. My name is David and this is my buddy Brian.
Hello everyone.
And thanks for watching Nobodies. Two nobodies talking about nothing. And yeah, today we're talking about robots and how they're going to take over the world and pretty much put you out of a job. So,
yeah, all this started because we both watched a video. I'll put the link in the description below. But the guy was making the point that everyone's job is at risk. I mean, everyone talks about, when you go to fast food places, you can just have a little robot there, you can push your order in, and those are the types of jobs you're replaced, or assembly line jobs. But the video makes a good point that everyone's jobs are at risk. We're talking about doctors, lawyers, computer programmers, everyone. Not just the manual labor jobs. Even the smart people jobs are at risk here. Of course, this is probably going to happen in maybe 50 years, I guess. I mean, no one can really know, but it's not going to happen in 10 years, I'm pretty sure. I can guarantee you that. But the bottom line is the job market's going to change, and we're just going to discuss what we think about it's going to happen. I mean, is it going to be a bad thing? I mean, are we going to survive? Just pretty much our prediction on the future. So I'm really mixed about it because it is really frightening, and again, I can't really put an eloquent argument of how this is frightening. You just have to see the freaking video. But it is highly likely that a lot of these jobs are going to be at risk because it's a lot cheaper to use robots and they're a lot more efficient. I mean, robots don't get tired and they're just as efficient unless the thing breaks down, whereas, people need their sleep and they just get tired with a lack of energy. Robots don't have those problems. Yeah, those problems. So it's certainly possible, but there's some jobs I can definitely see us will still be having. I mean, sports. No one wants to watch, robots play football. That's just not interesting.
Real Steel.
That's a freaking movie.
That would happen. BattleBots.
Yeah, but people are driving those robots. If robots are fighting themselves, I don't think there's going to be much entertainment in it because there's not a lot of heart into it. I mean, when you see two people go at boxing, you see people get bloody noses and stuff. That's actually more exciting. So you see a lot of it, more of a risk involved into it. If you see a robot get busted up, okay, we'll just patch it back up, problem solved. I don't think that's that entertaining.
People get entertained by the silliest things, man.
Okay, fair point. Still, I still think, in general, maybe there'll be some exceptions, of course, but I think sports in general will still be safe.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
Also, art, to an extent, the video makes a point that art is not safe because robots can make music and stuff. He even shows an example of that. But to an extent, I mean, I can't really see a robot ever coming up with the creativity to write a story or a novel or a screenplay. And also, they can't really innovate. I hope no one's going to hate me for saying this, but I don't really like dubstep at all, but I respect it. And I'm just thinking, could a robot make that sort of innovation that dubstep makes? Because dubstep is completely radical compared to all the music we've had previously. Could a robot possibly come up with some sort of special algorithm to innovate in that sort of way to make that sort of art? And I just don't think that's necessarily likely.
I mean, you got a good point. There's a human element to it. Whereas, I think in the video he said his song was composed by a robot, but somebody had to initiate that. Somebody had to want a song. Robots don't really want things, they just kind of do. So like you said, people would want to watch two human beings struggle in a sports event, or they want music that's different and new and exciting. Like you said, dubstep just came out of nowhere. Who could have seen that? And could a robot have done that? We don't know. I'd say it's unlikely, but I don't know anymore. I don't know. But you're saying that it's going to be a jobocalypse, but there are still going to be some jobs.
Yeah, there's some things I don't think robots can take, but at the same time, you can't have an economy where everyone's just artists or, athletes. That can't happen. A lot of people are going to be unemployed, and that's going to be very, very bad, obviously. But then you can bring up the example that I know plenty of free marketeers, such as people we associate ourselves with and kind of bring up. Back in the, olden days, I guess you want to say, when everyone was a farmer, no one could really have predicted the assembly line coming along and changing the way, the economic paradigm was. So if you were to say, hey, all farming jobs are pretty much going to disappear in 30 years, the farmer would have freaked out and said, oh my god, I'm going to die of starvation. But no, industrialization came and that pretty much solved the problem. So this is completely based on faith because, we just have to, pray to God, cross our fingers and hope and the new assembly line will come along and replace the jobs robots will take. for us to take over. But of course, that's just fate. There's no real reassurance in that.
Yeah, we don't know. It's free market. You can't predict it at all.
So, yeah, I mean, it can go either way. So maybe someone will come up with something and then we'll still be employed, or maybe a lot of us will just end up starving out. And we also bring up the point, like, some people, if they have the means to do it, they can just, be self-sufficient.
I think that's going to be the future. I think when you look to the future, you look at, all the energy crises and oil crisis and just crises everywhere, monetary depressions and everything. I think people are going to start becoming more self-sufficient. For instance, your power. When you turn on your light, you're dependent on a power company. Well, if you provide your own electricity, you don't have to worry about blackouts. You don't have to worry about how many billions of people there are on a planet because you make your own electricity. With the food, you grow your own food. Who cares how many people there are on the planet? You're eating your own food that you grew. So when I look to the future and I see a bunch of unemployed people or, barring the robot apocalypse, whatever it is, I think that's what's going to happen is a lot of people are just going to start growing their own food, getting more involved in their communities, and become more localized because, let's face it, globalization, there are just too many people on the planet with too many demands that, businesses can't, at this point, and governments can't, they just can't meet. So by becoming self-sufficient, it eases it quite a bit.
But of course, there's going to be hurdles to that. Politics always struggles to keep up with changing society, especially technology. And you always have to worry about things like property taxes, because sure you can live off you can live off your own power, you can live off your own food, but you may still have taxes to pay.
Because the government wants money. That's what they want. The system they design, they don't want you getting out of it. So if you want to be self-sufficient, well, you still got to pay your taxes. And what do? You're going to give the government your bushels of hay? I don't. They're not going to take it. So that's an interesting point you make, and very valid.
Yeah. So many ways this could go. It's sort of frightening. Another interesting thing that kind of scares me, though, if a job apocalypse ends up happening, there's going to be a giant rallying cry towards socialism, even communism then, because there's going to be a lot of people starving in the streets.
I saw that. I saw a lot of YouTube comments and stuff on that video, and people were saying communism would be possible because robots will be running everything. A couple people were saying, as far as the money goes, the government could just give everybody a monthly salary and you could just do whatever you want, which I don't see how that's economically feasible. You could do it, but then it would end up like most, rundown neighborhoods, like Oakland or, a lot of really sad places where, people get handouts, they get money that they need to survive, but you think everybody's going to be happy just surviving, just getting by?
Well, of course not.
Yeah. That's no way to live.
And you gotta wonder, where's the money going to be coming from?
Where's it going to come from? Exactly.
Because if a job apocalypse ends up happening, then you're going to have a bunch of rich people with all the money. But that also brings up another interesting point, is where are the rich people going to get their money? Because if we're all out of work, none of us will have income to spend.
That's my point.
If we don't have income to spend, how are we going to go to Best Buy and buy the newest technology that these robots, make? How can we go buy the next Xbox or whatever if we don't have a job to make money? And if we're not spending money, these big companies are not making money. So it's sort of a vicious cycle that if you completely, automatize everything, even though that's a cheaper way in the beginning, maybe it will backfire in the long run because no one's going to have money to spend on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. And I've thought of that, is that rich people, the ones that own the businesses and the corporations and the stockholders and whatever, people have a lot of money. What are they going to do? They're just going to have money. What good is it going to do them? But nobody's buying anything, nobody's going to be able to sell anything. It's a scary situation. And I've seen a lot of movies, I'm not going to name them all, but it's the rich people live in space, and poor people live on Earth because Earth is so crappy and polluted and everything.
Yeah.
The thing is, if Earth is so crappy and polluted and nobody makes any money and everybody's like third world and all these people live in space, how do you do that? Where do you get the money from? How's that even sustainable? So, and I know a lot of people talk about, the wealth gap and stuff. We're not going to get into that, but with the robots, like you said, what are the rich people going to do when nobody's spending money, when nobody's buying anything? So, I don't know.
It's a real frightening situation. I think all of us need to start considering, because if it's not going to happen within our lifetimes, it's going to happen with our children's lifetimes.
Well, what do you do? You know, like, what do you know, we can think about it, we can talk about it, but ultimately, what are you going to do? You know, it's happening. It's inevitable.
You can prepare yourself for how it's going to happen.
How? How are you going to do it?
Well, like you were saying, you could try to be self-sufficient. I mean, you're just going to have to end up moving to places where there's no property taxes, or at least fight your, state and federal government.
That's a good point.
Get rid of property taxes now, because if their job apocalypse ends up happening, we need to take care of ourselves, and we won't have enough money to pay you for the land we're living on anyway. So you can start preparing for that situation right now. Or you can just pray to God that, some future version of the assembly line will come and we'll all be saved. Maybe we'll start colonizing on Mars, and for a reason robots can't make it there, so we can just start from ground.
They're already there, Brian. They are already there. There's one inhabitant on Mars, and it's a robot. Yeah, we're doomed. We're doomed.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think? If anyone's actually watching this, let us know what you know in the comments. I'm pretty sure we can get some interesting conversations started that already are on that website. I'm not at the website, the video you guys need to watch. So that's pretty much all I've got.
Yeah, it's kind of scary when you think about it. And I mean, you're right. If you move somewhere where government's less intrusive and less authoritarian, it might be a little easier for you to grow your own food. But we hear stories all the time about people trying to do that. Like the guy in, what was it, Oregon? He got fined for collecting rainwater.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Stuff like that, man. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's all I got. By the way, this is tea. This yellow liquid in here. I get that a lot. So I don't want to read the comments and see people talking about this, because this is tea.
All right, so that was today's video.
I had to say that. It's noisy.
All right, thank you for watching if you did, and we'll see you next time, I guess.
Thanks for tuning in.